Do you sometimes just feel like you work way too much? You're working 50 plus hours a week and you're just tired. So I want you to just imagine for a moment what it would feel like to work less. Most of us don't necessarily think about working less than 40 hours a week because that is just the standard. But any vision starts with the possibility and just imagining that the possibility could be real. So if you're working a lot of empty hours, if you're just right now overextended, there are a couple of very simple things you can do, and then I want to talk to you about the long-term stuff you can do to make sure it's a permanent thing to be able to work less. So if you're working a lot of empty hours, or you find yourself the first person to get there, the last person to leave, it's really important to set boundaries around your time, because typically those who work really long hours are not always the ones who are working the smartest hours. And so if you're working some of those empty hours, what you could do, especially if you don't have kids, kids will actually help you to structure your day because they have to be at school, they have to be picked up, etc. But if you don't have that in your life, being able to set up things like maybe it's dinner with a friend, maybe it's a workout class that you have, somewhere you have to be at a specific time so that you have to leave the office. That can be a really effective strategy for making sure that you honor the boundaries that you're setting around your time. And it might be that you do that first thing in the morning, it might be that you do that in the afternoon, until you get to the point where you are just naturally and automatically working more sane hours. The other thing that does is it compresses the amount of time that you have, which actually helps you to focus and to be more efficient during the time that you're actually at work. But here's the other thing. If you want to work fewer hours, ask yourself, am I at a company right now where that might be a possibility? How could I make a bigger impact so that the number of hours that I work isn't as important to the company as the impact that I am making? So you might not be at a company where there's the flexibility, and the question becomes, where might you go? How might you set yourself up so that more flexibility and fewer hours becomes a possibility? But here's the other thing you want to ask yourself. Do you have the finances? Have you set things up financially so that you can work less? Living below your means creates freedom. That means you don't need as much money to live. And if you don't need as much money to live, there's a lot more flexibility in terms of being able to work fewer hours. I know that sounds so simple, but when it comes to dreaming a bigger dream for what your life can look like and being able to have more time for family and for yourself, you want to begin thinking bigger picture. And the fact of the matter is, most people work because they want to earn a living and they need to earn a living. So if you don't need as much of a living, it becomes a lot easier to say, you know what, I am going to work less. But here's the last thing I want you to consider. Are you in a career field where working less is an option? In some career fields, it simply isn't. It's how things are set up. And if you want to do things differently, well, you might just be out of luck. Sometimes when we're looking at the vision that we have for our lives, we have to be willing to make big shifts and big changes. And that might mean looking long term at a different career, making a shift. Maybe you're still in communications, but you're in a different type of communication where there is a bit more flexibility. I don't know what your situation is, but I know this. Working less is possible. It takes planning, it takes intention, but it's also worth it. So if it's what you want, start planning for it. If you want more life strategies, visit me on my blog. It's ValorieBurton.com/blog. I'll talk to you next time.